Marcus, what a day it's been.
It has.
Huh? Touch and go. We were like this close to saying, shit, maybe just try this tomorrow.
Yeah, just to put things into perspective as well, when you have a day like we've had, on top of that, I've just relayed the comment to you. I wonder if I should put out a post to tell all the listeners the podcast will be a bit late tonight. Why? Well, I've got load shedding at home when I get home as well, and you add all those things up. It's just one of those days. The important thing is that we are here doing the show.
100%. Yeah, we're not letting this one slip. And if there's anything that is gonna perk the day up and make us feel better, would be doing the podcast. So
that's it.
So here we are, man.
Isn't it weird though that the podcast does that? Is it because you doing something creative or something that you really want, or something, it's selfish, it's a little bit for you that you do the podcast? Why does it make you feel good?
I suppose it's that one thing that we've got every week that releases a few endorphins.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's the closest to gym that I actually get. As is quite obvious by those orange shirts that we wore last week.
Yeah. So back to the slimming black. Yeah. Back in black. Now, cool. Well, let's get to it. As usual, bit of aviation news to start off with. This Pratt & Whitney geared engine chaos story. I know it hasn't really been in the spotlight, particularly for us. I've seen a lot of the headlines of it over the last sort of year, but never been something I thought about, hey, we have to chat about this on the show. But now becoming a major, major factor. We mentioned airlines go first. They've gone bankrupt.
Yeah. And
mainly due to the fact that the A320 Neos have got these Pratt & Whitney 1000 geared engines. And basically, it's not that they're not working. The time between overhauls and all sorts of things like that, they haven't managed to live up to the promises that they made. And it's a major, major thing, not just with them. There are other airlines as well. That Air Baltic, they've had issues. Go First, of course, we mentioned. KLM City Hopper, they're having the same problems on the Embraer 195s, the E2s. All of these are these Pratt & Whitney 1000G engines.
Yeah.
It's a geared turbofan, a GTF engine. Ryan, tell me about a GTF engine.
I'm glad you asked the question, because like when this came up, I thought, yes, I better get genned up on what a geared turbofan engine is. I mean, I've been reading it a lot, but I haven't really been all that up to speed on what this engine's all about. So yeah, some research. Turns out that a GTF engine means there's an additional component called a reduction gearbox between the fan and the low pressure turbine,
which is basically a gearbox.
Pretty much, yeah. It makes it start to sound a bit more like a turbine engine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, when you think it like that, I start to understand. So this gearbox allows the fan and the turbine to spin at different speeds. And the turbine can spin very fast, which is good for its efficiency, while the fan can spin slower, which makes it quieter and more fuel efficient. This uncoupling of the fan and the turbine speeds allows each to operate at their optimal speeds, obviously improving the overall performance of the engine.
Noise and all sorts of things as well come into it.
So I think it was Pratt & Whitney's obvious answer to try and advance their product and everything, but at the moment it seems like it's
on paper it's a decent concept. If you think about a jet engine and your big fan bypass fan in the front that's spinning at the same speed as the turbine, there's a compromise there, and that's what this gearbox is designed to do. Have those two spinning at different speeds. Yeah. If you can get your fan to spin a bit slower, it makes less noise and all sorts of things and more fuel efficient. But it's come with design consequences, and that's where we find ourselves now. I didn't realize. So it's only that Pratt & Whitney 1000, I believe, that has this geared turbofan. So I did look into this a bit. I couldn't find anything. Have they kind of put their trademark stamp on this type of engine? Because remember, on the 320 Neos, you can have the Pratt & Whitney, but you can also have the GE, I believe, the Leap.
Yes, yeah.
And the Leap ain't got a geared turbofan.
No.
Yeah, so
yeah, we'll see. It's obviously going to play into someone else's hands if this doesn't turn out nicely for Pratt & Whitney.
Well, it's not turning out nicely for the airlines.
Yeah, they're getting burnt by this.
They're getting burnt. I mean, they can't fly their aircraft, and it's problems. KLM, City Hopper, they're having to use their Embraer 190s. They were supposed to lease those out. They've kept them on board, and all because of that turbofan. So we'll keep an eye on that story. There's a lot of other less interesting and podcasts that talk about it a bit more. There's a few that have spoken about that a lot.
Yeah.
But it has become a real news story. Diving into some international news. I didn't see this one coming. United pilots demand more pay. Hey, what's the story there?
Yeah, look, so pilots from United, one of the largest US airlines, have held picket lines at major airports advocating for higher pay. They've obviously been in negotiation with airline management for new contracts, having worked out with the pay rise over 4 years. And I think this has obviously all got a lot to do with the shitstorm that Delta started.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Delta started an absolute shitstorm, and now you've got the other airlines trying to play catch up. And maybe Delta were in a position to offer those new salary scales. And I kind of assumed, I have to say, that all the other the American airlines would just follow suit, and that's not the case.
Yeah, look, funny enough, we got a few comments from last week's episode regarding my chirp about the pay and what SOs or SFOs, what do they call them on the A380s, get paid. And obviously ties in, we'll mention that a bit later, I suppose, but the pay structure is quite funny for the guys overseas in the States. I mean, I didn't really know that it worked like this. You get paid per hour.
Yeah, it
per weight category.
It differs per what your aircraft you're on and all sorts of things.
Yeah. Not like here in South Africa where you get paid a salary with what's an extra S&T allowance every day.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of...
it's much more complicated.
Yeah. I suppose in the long run it makes sense the way they're doing it, because obviously the more hours you fly, the more you get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the airline's way of making sure that they get the most out of their pilots. But
so expect to see, and the next story emphasizes this, Southwest pilots strike.
Yeah.
So Southwest Airlines, they're going to be striking. Southwest Airlines Pilots Association Union voted in favor of strike authorization with a 99% approval rate from its 10,000 members. So they've gone and criticized the operational disaster, in inverted commas, of Southwest Airlines, referring to repeated shutdowns due to the extreme weather events and those RT issues that they had earlier on. Southwest Airlines responded to the vote by committing to improve its RT systems with more than $1.3 billion allocated to investments and upgrades in that area. I can't believe that Southwest are simply striking because of their RT systems. It's all to do with the same story.
Yeah.
Want more money.
Exactly. And it's not only limited to the States. I mean,
no, it's not. Next story. Spanish airline pilots propose summer strikes. Who's that going to affect? It's not just the Spanish airlines. It's Ryanair, EasyJet, Norwegian, Jet2, Iberia, Vueling, Eurowings.
That's Ultra and Swift, yeah. No, there's a whole lot that are affected by this.
But I've got a solution. We have been advocates for pilots to get what they deserve in terms of the work that they do.
Yes.
Hey? From day one on the show.
Of course.
So if you go back during the dark days of COVID, it was we're all sitting there wondering what the hell we're going to do with our lives. And of course, things turned around and suddenly jobs are available. So I'm throwing the question at you. Have the airlines taken advantage of pilots? And I'm just saying pilots. The other industries, I'm sure, same issues have happened. But have pilots been taken advantage of for just a little bit too long now?
Well, I think there's a bit of a yes and no answer to that question, because yes, for the most part, up until now, pilots have been exploited to a certain degree. Depends on who you're working for. It's just come out that Emirates have posted a tremendous profit and they're sharing the love.
Correct.
So yeah, Emirates pilots. Let me bring up the figures here quickly.
So they got like a profit share 6 months. It's to be paid at the end of May, something like that, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, it ends up being a fair whack of cash for the guys, and I think
I've actually got it. Emirates just posted a profit of 10.6 billion dirhams, 2.9 billion US. And the Dubai-based carrier surprises again by paying its a 6-month salary bonus out with their May salary to its 50,000 plus employees.
6 months bonus.
6-month bonus, all to do with the fact that they made a record profit.
Yeah.
So good on Emirates.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you, Emirates,
exactly
for treating the pilots the way they should be treated. Absolutely. I mean, come on.
Yeah. That is what's going to make the difference in terms of job satisfaction, loyalty.
It makes a huge difference, right?
Richard Branson's always said it, treat your staff right and the customers will automatically be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always said it.
Yeah.
And I think, that's what's happening here. And I don't think it's going to be too long, hopefully, until the other airlines realize, well, we're going to have to start doing the same, particularly here in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa is definitely behind the drag curve in terms of salaries.
Yeah.
For a long time, though, you had South African Airways, whose pilots got paid pretty well. And then I think that picked up the sort of group average of South Africa, in terms of airline pilots.
Yeah.
And you wonder now, without, I'm not sure what a South African Airways pilot earns now, but I can't believe it's anything close to what it used to be.
Mm.
And you wonder now, is there not just this big divide now between, but in saying that, you've got the Americans and even now, next story, Cathay Pacific warns pilots about taxing at slow speeds. Why are they going to taxi at slow speeds? Well, it's basically a go slow. You're going to burn more fuel. You're going to be longer time on the taxiway. You're going to be maybe delayed. I mean,
yeah, but why are they doing that? Is that because there's like punitive measures to taxing fast? Has that been?
No, it's let's go through it here. Cathay Pacific pilots might be taxing slowly as a tactic to increase their total flight time and consequently their pay per flight. This is due to significant salary cuts that the airline staff, including pilots, faced during the COVID pandemic. Despite the airline's operations recovering to 50% of pre-pandemic levels, staff salaries remain 30% lower than their pre-pandemic wages. So that's why they are taxing slow.
Do you really think that could have such an impact?
Oh yeah, you add all that up, it has an impact, particularly with an airline that's trying to recover.
Yeah.
So I think it does, and it's also you got to be okay. Think about it this way: here or in America or South Africa, you can say, right, we're going to strike. You go get a strike ballot, and this is what we're striking for. So airline, I'm not trying to pick on Cathay here, but use them as an example. A lot of expats, what are they going to do? Stand up and say they're going to strike. Government's going to say, on your bike, buddy, back to wherever you came from. So you need to do it in a slightly more subtle, cleverer way. Now, we've got a lot of people that listen to the show in Hong Kong, avid supporters of the show, and I'm sure they're going to tell us, look, guys, you're wrong with this one or you're right. This comes straight out of Simple Flying. Let me see if I can pick it up here.
Yeah, the Simple Flying article. I've got it here.
Yeah.
And they say
here it is, yeah. Right, so Cathay, yeah.
Newly released reports suggest that the Hong Kong-based carrier Cathay Pacific recently emailed its staff regarding an internal investigation conducted by the airline, which showed that there had been recent findings that suggest the airline's pilots have been taxing at lower speeds when compared to other airlines, causing runway congestion. The airline has stated it will overlook any of these previous reports, but in the future, if an aircraft is reported to be taxing at slower speeds than average, necessary actions will be taken to tackle the issue. This could include disciplinary actions against pilots for taxiing planes at slower speeds for arrivals and departures, which could result in potential runway congestion.
So yeah, it is. Yeah, the reason for taxing slowly suggested that potential reasons for pilots taxing at such slow speeds is to increase the total flight time and get increased pay per flight.
Wow.
And here, airline had to furlough up 20, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it's all there.
In the pilot's defense, I'd probably say I think the guys are just being more cautious because there's been so many incidents of late where oaks are taxing into other aircraft and poles and vehicles on the
So
apron.
you're taking that route?
I think the pilots are just being safe. I'm standing up for the pilots.
I'm not. I'm saying they must go get what they bloody deserve.
No.
And I'm sure they're flying flipping hard. And your choms across at
No, I agree.
Emirates are getting a 6-month salary injection into their May account.
I'm saying the pilots are being safe, but they do deserve more bucks as well. I'm not disputing that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
They should get paid more because they are safer.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite weird.
Do you think that's going to club us a few more subscribers?
It's pretty weird, the whole taxing slow thing, because you do go through stages at your airline where you get called in, hey, you were taxing a bit fast there the other day.
Do you remember?
No, you're taxing too slow.
When we had FDAP first introduced to us at SACS, and then all of a sudden the Oaks
Flight Data Analysis Program.
Yeah. Now, I mean, for the first, 6 years that we were at SACS, we weren't used to this. And then all of a sudden the guys were paying attention to their ground speed on the taxiway. It was quite funny because the guys were focusing more on their
taxing speeds
than we were actually fucking going.
Yeah. It became a bit of a hazard.
It was funny.
Yeah. Funny how things change. But yeah,
Jeez.
Bit of a subtle way there to get a bit of increased pay, interestingly enough.
Oh.
Turkish says to Ryanair, hold my beer. Why? 600 aircraft order they're looking at.
Hey?
So we had Ryanair last week with 150 plus 150 options. Yeah, you've got Turkish saying, no, we need 600 aircraft. Be the first part of the deal to be announced at the forthcoming IATA AGM in Istanbul. So that's coming up now.
Yes.
And it's going to be a mix of Boeing and Airbus, so they carry on with their normal way of doing things. They are looking at A350 1000 for ultra long haul flights, so like their Oz route. So Turkish is huge.
You know, I've just realized, don't you think Turkish is a bit of an understated airline? You know, they're going about their business. They're not in the news all that much, but they're actually massive.
Turkish is huge.
They're a pretty big airline.
Don't they fly to the most destinations?
They do.
They are huge.
They've just built that massive new airport in Turkey.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, for the last 20 years, Turkish Airlines has grown 12% on average. For the next 10 years, we're intending to grow 7.6% and to reach 813 aircraft in 2033. During the IATA event, we're going to announce all this with one of the big manufacturers. We've almost finished discussions with them, so we're going to order around 600 aircraft, and 200 will be wide-body and 400 narrow-body aircraft. Yeah, hold my beer on that one.
Jeez.
Hey? That's proper.
Yeah, no, look.
There's not stuffing
They're
around.
not playing games, though. Yes.
They're not in Bryan 120s. I mean, these are serious aircraft.
A350s, the likes. Yeah. Well, good on them, man. I mean, well done.
Good on them. Are expats still going to Turkish? At one stage they were.
Yeah. I don't know
Where are they
why.
getting all their pilots from?
From Turkey, man. Must be. I don't know of a lot of expats. I mean, come to think of it, when I was still actively flying, most of the Turkish
scouring the net for jobs.
You didn't hear many Aussie pilots flying for Turkish.
I don't know. But you know what, Ryan? I need you to wind your neck in a little bit on the Aussie. You know, we're doing well in Australia on this podcast. The Aussies seem to like our sort of vibe.
I'm only giving the Aussies gas because I know they can take it, and I like them, and I got a shitload of friends in Australia now.
So Australia is we're doing well there on the show. So I want to keep that going, please, Paul.
Well, do you think our followership in Australia is getting bigger because
of all the sappers?
Is it necessary the Australians that are starting to like us, or just because South Africans?
I think you're right. I don't think there's a lot of South Africans there, and they're all supporting us. We're going to chat about it a bit later on, actually. Yeah. Maybe that's why the numbers have gone up.
I think so.
But it's an interesting one. Cargolux 747-400 freighter loses landing gear during an emergency landing. The whole bogey detached.
Did you see that video clip?
Yeah.
It was impressive, eh?
No?
I think there must have been one of the fire guys that was filming it, and you just hear his voice in the background as you see that thing land and the gear come off, bouncing down the airfield. Impressive.
Serious?
Yeah.
I don't actually think I even saw that.
I saw it yesterday, and I still thought, shit, that's funny. Not funny what happened, but like the way it planned out in the background.
Obviously, it was just after takeoff, so they had to go and burn a lot of fuel. There's a video here. Let's see if it comes through. Maybe it does.
747's a tough machine, eh?
Yeah, it is. There it is. Yeah, there it goes. Huh. Yeah, well. Yeah, exactly. To pull the bogey off a 747, you're doing a good job. So issue, obviously, was a long-haul flight. They were going to Chicago. So they had a lot of fuel that they had to burn off there. Landing gear detached during the landing roll, but the aircraft was able to come to a controlled stop without any injuries. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Should we chat about the world's biggest wanker next?
There's quite a few of those. Which one are we going to start with?
This fucking idiot, this idiot YouTuber, this guy that faked a crash.
Let's name and shame him. Trevor Daniel Jacob Knob.
I mean, he's looking at 20 years in prison for purposely staging a plane crash in order to generate views on his YouTube. Why the fuck didn't we think about that?
For starters, we didn't have any planes to go and
we
crash.
could have faked the praying in a simulator.
No.
And said, shit.
We've been taking more photographs of our old airlines fleet outside, which looked like they were all in fucking plane crashes anyway. But yeah, there was a unique plan of his that blew up in his face.
November 2021, this guy flew a single-engine propeller plane with the intention of filming himself ejecting from the aircraft and parachuting to the ground. He had secured a sponsorship deal with a company and agreed to promote their wallet in the video. After ejecting from the plane, filming his descent, Jacob informed the NTSB about the crash. Initially agreed to help locate the wreckage, but later claimed he did not know where it was. What a clown! But he made a bit of a mockery of. He's not a real pilot, obviously. He's just trying to promote this channel, but flying is not a game, eh?
It's not a game.
I mean,
he made a complete mockery of it. I mean, most pilots learn to fly and they do their utmost to be safe pilots. I mean, all you're ever doing while you're flying an airplane is trying not to kill yourself. And
true story.
Like you say, he made a mockery of it. I still can't figure out where he thought that crashing an airplane and promoting a wallet would be
This is a good idea. Because
where does that even tie in?
You get these guys that
all that's done is empty his wallet successfully now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, because let's see how many views this guy got.
Yeah, there was millions of
views. There were millions of
2.9 million views.
2.9 million views. So no, Ryan, his wallet ain't empty, buddy.
Do you think that probably gives him one of those fancy YouTube plaques?
No, you get 2.9 million views, which we're expecting on this episode alone. You're not eating baked beans for dinner. So maybe he's a fucking genius. I don't know. But
oh shit,
we'll see. Anyway, not a good one there. Hope we don't see more of that nonsense going forward.
Yeah.
More nonsense. SA merger set for competition green light after Takatso shareholders agree divestment. So what's happened here is that there is a split now. Well, not a split. They are get on Novik and lift. They need them out of this deal for this Takatso deal to go through.
Otherwise, it's too much.
Otherwise, there's
too much conflicting interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when did Duncan post on Fly Africa that there was shit between SAA, Takatso, and the whole story. It was ages.
It was a long time ago.
It was like 221.
Yeah, I mean, he called us a long time ago.
221. And then I remember at the time, a lot of people jumping on, how can you say that? Including, people that were actually part of the whole thing. It turns out now, this is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Decision follows an investigation by the Commission, which concluded the merger would substantially lessen competition in the domestic airline space due to the potential for sensitive information to be exchanged between SAA and Lyft, which has connections with minority shareholders in Takatso. That's obviously Gidon, I assume.
Yeah.
To remedy this, Global Aviation and Ceramics, I think you pronounce it, which are involved in Lyft and have minority shareholding in Takatso, have agreed to completely divest from Takatso before the merger's implementation. Despite initial rejection of a divestiture and employment conditions by the merging parties, they later agreed to them, leading to the Commissioner's recommendations for conditional approval of the merger. So this is still going on. Final decision of the merger is still pending and will be taken by the Competition Tribunal. You can comment next.
I've got fuck all to say, man. When it comes to SAA, my man,
it's your number one airline. You were trying to get in there for years.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, you want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but I think it's obvious why, isn't it?
Nah, yeah.
Imagine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Seriously.
Yeah.
I still want to chunder every time I see one of the Aries flying. I don't know. It just does nothing for me.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
Negative. Ghost Rider.
I hear you. Right. Next part of the show. Some comments from last week. So we spoke about you started with it there. Do you want to go into it a bit deeper? Qantas A380 Second Officers. They were looking at employing external hires. We on the show said, what's the issue with that? You can't expect Qantas to go and just train these guys. So we don't see any issue with that. Turns out Qantas A380 SO earns way more than a regional Qantas captain and has a fantastic roster. They get paid on the way to the aircraft, as you mentioned. So decision changes now. Well, I kind of see what the Aussie pilots are talking about there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, with that bit of information, it definitely does make more sense. I mean, like I was saying, I was talking from the context of a normal South African.
You were talking from the context
aviator,
of someone that didn't have all the information.
Yeah. Someone who knows all about the pay structure of an Australian pilot. Anyway, thanks to some of our viewers and their information. I'll make a retraction there and say, sorry guys, I understand now, and it makes sense. But at the same time, I do guess Qantas are still fighting for survival.
Yeah,
and there must be a clever way of coming to some sort of an amicable agreement there somewhere along the line.
No doubt. But Qantas are not struggling for survival. Qantas are going to be there.
Yeah.
Come on, Ryan. Government airlines don't get shut down.
Yes, they do. Temporarily. But then they come back as version 2.
Yeah.
And then when they come back as version 2, you don't get paid as much. So
version 2 is awesome because you just saw McCann, the seniority, all those little, horrible contracts that you had, all gone.
Yeah.
You just start from scratch, man. You don't have to do anything. You
think it works like that?
Yeah. And also, if shit hits the fan again, just don't give your financial results.
Yeah.
It's hundreds. No one cares.
Aren't they about to trade
Do you think that's going to work in Oz?
I don't know. Because isn't Alan Joyce about to leave? This is Alan Joyce, I think.
Yeah. Joyce.
They're about to get another CEO.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big change for Qantas
He's been there for about 1,000 years.
Yeah, it's their second CEO in like 30 odd years, whereas SAA had about 50 CEOs in 10 years.
True.
Yeah. Anyhow, whatever.
Carrying on with listener comments here. We spoke about our SAFers, our expats going to China to go and fly. So Chinese carriers, are they looking for South Africans?
Turns out they're not.
They're not. We don't know why.
I seem to remember, and again, this is out there probably for correction.
This is just so everyone knows. This is why we've added in If you notice, this is a new section I've added into the show, listener comments.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you want to throw it in here and you let us mention your name, please, we'll actually chat about it on the show.
Yeah.
So throw a comment in, we'll chat about it. But I had to throw this in because of all the stuff ups that we make. The listeners can say, hey guys, come, you got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, and we can correct it on the next show. It's freaking ingenious.
No, it's awesome. I mean, it's all about engagement.
Yeah.
And this is why I love it. But yeah, I do remember, again, pre-COVID, the Chinese CAA was having a hard time with our CAA trying to get the pilot's licenses verified. Remember?
I do.
They would contact us and say, Dear South African Aviation Authority, we need the pilot credentials. And they would never get them.
Yeah.
And I think they still got that same problem.
Yeah.
To a large degree. Again, maybe that's why.
Maybe. Could be. I think that you're probably right.
I think I am right on that one.
So, not going to be an option for the immediate. But there's the whole BRICS thing. I mean, we're all buddies.
We're supposed to be mates with Brazil,
Russia.
I was wondering if I should say that. China.
It's like a swear word on the show.
India and South Africa. We all, the BRICS are mates.
Yeah.
Unlike the ME3. Apparently the ME3.
But you can't work there.
The ME3 are not mates. That
No.
was another thing that we were corrected on.
ME3 are not mates. And the Riyadh that are going to make this the ME4, Riyadh has already started employing people. And you know what they're paying the engineers? 3 times the amount that they paid at other airlines.
3 times.
Yeah, to get the people in.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. Where are they going to get the pilots, the engineers, the staff expertise? You can't
Yeah.
just start with newly trained individuals across the board. You've got to actually go out and find these people and like headhunt these people. That's why I'm so excited about this Riyadh thing.
Yeah, listen, that side of the world is starting to really look heavily attractive in terms of what they're paying people and what they can offer. So, yeah, very excited about it as well. And let's see where this goes. I mean,
It's going to be cool.
I think it's going to be big.
Hey,
It's going to be big.
100%.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on Riyadh. Look, I had a look to see if there's, you can actually start, throwing your name in the hat there for a few things, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
If you want to get
viable
involved.
option.
Yeah. Next story, Nexus Airlines in Australia. They've taken some good guys from South Africa.
Yeah. Again, this
Dean
is
Gove,
Mark Mason.
Mark Mason. Going to talk about Mark now. So Nexus is Western Australia's newest regional airline focused on connecting Western Australia's regions. I'm so pro countries at the moment that are like taking our guys. I mean, Mark will let me say this. Mark doesn't have a flying job at the moment.
Yeah.
He needs one. He wants one. And they're going to take him,
Yeah.
which is flipping cool. And so thanks, Nexus Airlines, and thanks, Australia, because there's not the first couple of South Africans that have gone there for work lately. And evidently, all our mates that have gone across recently are all very happy and doing really well and have been promoted pretty quickly internally inside the airline and are now holding quite high positions in those airlines. And guys, how awesome is that to be a young South African here? If you want that opportunity, you've got South Africans there doing the hard work for you. So when your name is in the hat and they see you another South African, they say, hey, these guys work hard, they fly well, let's get them on board. It's no small thing.
I got to add this as well. I suppose a massive well done has got to go to all the expats that are in Australia for going there and working their asses off, making it work, but then also creating a good name for South Africans. You haven't gone there and then the Aussies are obviously realizing like, shit, these South African boys, they're not bad. They can play rugby and they can work like hell. So it's good for us. And I suppose, massive thank you to you guys for doing that for us. And it really is a wonderful thing. And just remember to shout out to Dylan. It's his birthday today.
Hey, Dill.
Yeah, he's probably bombing around in his 120
or his Harley.
all over Darwin.
He's probably bought a Harley now.
But yeah,
no,
100%.
Yeah, well done, guys. Everyone that's there.
Yeah,
leads us to the next part of the show. It's a Bryan Air advisory this week. I called you on Sunday night. I said, but a movie on Amazon Prime that's called Air.
Yeah.
It's about the whole Nike story. Phil Knight, who started Nike. Don't want to give the whole story away, so if you want to put the volume down for a second, I'm sure most people know the whole story. Nike was basically built on the fact that they managed to lure Michael Jordan into the company and wear their shoes. Nike was nothing. They were smaller than Converse, Adidas, everyone. And they had a lot of guts, a lot of determination, and I really, really enjoyed the movie. So that is the advisory. Please go check out that movie. It's on Amazon Prime. It's one of those feel-good documentaries, and I love movies where you know this actually happened, and you can see yourself in a lot of those things, and that's why I just really got a kick out of it, and that's why I said, go watch this movie. There's just like elements there we're not going to give up. And basically, the company was in a position where they just had to do something, and Michael Jordan was that thing. There was a guy within the organization that just made it happen. I don't want to give it all away, but just a fantastic movie. I know you enjoyed it as well.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know when I get a message from you and you say to me, "But you got to go watch this movie. It's going to be worthwhile." I know for sure. It's going to be a worthy watch, and I made sure I watched it that night, and I just absolutely loved it. More from the point that it was a real early 90s, 80s type movie, and I mean, that's our era.
Yeah,
and
the music and
the way they made the movie was actually just exceptional because they portrayed it so well.
Yeah, good actors. I mean, it's Matt Damon, Ben Affleck,
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, awesome.
All of them. It really is an incredible movie, well worth a watch, and a nice insight into what actually happened at Nike and how they got off the ground.
Yeah,
and I took some inspiration from that as well. Just thought, if this podcast stands half a chance. I think we've got the same amount of tenacity, so let's just.
That's why I sent you that message, because that's what I got out of it.
To take a thing from another.
If you've got this one sort of iota of a chance to make something happen, it's not just going to happen by itself. You're going to have to make it happen.
What's that one thing we always do? Taken from another movie.
That's taken from. I don't think that movie was at 22 Jump Street or something. You got to push through.
Yeah.
But a little segue here, and getting a little bit more serious for a second. Back in the 90s, I went to. My old man took us on a holiday to the States. It was early 90s, and I got totally. I was Michael Jordan mad. Well, I didn't know who Michael Jordan was, man.
Yeah.
You go to the States, and suddenly I was just like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, so you had all the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, I've still got Chicago Bulls kit, Air Jordans, the whole. Because it's a little bit like going to Disney World. You come back with all this Disney stuff. You think it is like you get home, it's not the same. But what he managed to do at Nike, and obviously develop a internal brand within a bigger brand, I think is just ingenious. That's the one thing. But in the early 90s, and to get this whole thing going, so basically when Jordan went across to Nike's, and Nike are the kings of adverts.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a shocker recently, so last one, excuse, but they're the king of adverts. I mean, that Tiger Woods one where the putts that Nike bought, I think it was at Augusta, and it just goes, I mean, that advert was just insane. But their best one ever was their advert, Be Like Mike.
Yeah.
It was called Be Like Mike, and it was based on, be like Michael Jordan. He was a fit, athletic, well-presented guy, spoke well, trained hard, was determined, fit, healthy, determined as all hell. And the advert was Be Like Mike. If you want to succeed, be like this guy. How are you going to do it? You're going to have to wear Nike shoes. That was the adverts and its nuts and bolts of it. And we have a mate that has, from the very beginning, supported our show.
Yeah.
And he's also a Mike. And the Bryan Air advisory this week is Be Like Mike, except there's no Michael Jordan, it's Be Like Mike Mason. Because Mike went through a very difficult period. I don't think you'd mind me saying this. I haven't asked permission from him to speak about him today, but I know you wouldn't mind. So Mike is one of the guys going across to Nexus in Australia to go and fly. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud of him for doing it because, you know, it was such a difficult time when our company closed. Mike used to work for SA Express. Company closed, and on basically the day the company closed was the day the lockdown in South Africa started. It was an incredibly difficult period of time that I don't think every one of our ex-colleagues has actually come to terms with all these years later.
No,
Because it was shocking. It was just a wild. You almost couldn't script it, and I know one day it is going to be a movie. Not necessarily about sex because everyone's got their own story about it, but it was worse for the guys that lost their job before the lockdown started. You know, a lot of guys, you know, shit hit their fan later on.
It was a hell of a shocker for everyone at sex because, like you said, it was a double whammy. Yeah. You know, for many, many years, look, we got dragged through the shit pipe there. But there was always this belief that, no, you would be fine. And then literally a week before lockdown, that happens. And then you have lockdown and the blows just didn't stop. It didn't stop.
It was an emotional nightmare from, right, guys, your medical aid is cancelled. You're on your own to, you know, you can't get, what's that thing that they were paying? Used to get
PAYE.
Yeah,
allegedly.
you got paid by the government at one point but we couldn't because the company.
TERS. All that bullshit.
All that fucking nonsense. And Mark was one of these guys, like everyone, was caught in this whole thing. But when we started the podcast, Mark came along and he was very supportive of the show, but not in a way like, hey, you guys are doing a great job, you know, carry on. In his own traditional way, he was critical and he liked the fact that he was getting something from the show. And it was one of the first times that I realized in doing the podcast that this isn't just a case of come here every week and we just say what we want and go. People do listen and they do take on certain things, and there is an element of responsibility that you have. And if you're going to talk about something, you better know what you're talking about. You better research it. And if you have opinions about positivity and motivation and where to look and advice, then you've got to give good advice. And Mark was one of these guys that I think enjoyed the advice. And he enjoyed maybe, I think at times we haven't sort of always given advice, but we've given direction on where you can find the good advice. So if you're looking at a particular, Jordan Peterson would be, if you're battling with that, go to Jordan. If you want something about, guts and determination, go to Jocko or Joe Rogan or whatever. Yeah. But, Mark supported the show. Long story short, I mean, you ask yourself, well, you say be like Mike. So what does it mean? So during this turmoil and this absolute dog show of these last few years for a lot of airline pilots, Mike lost his job. I think he had to move house. Again, I hope Mike doesn't mind me saying this. He didn't just go and accept any old job that he could get his hands on because he knew what his value was. He ended up becoming very, very good and successful at training young kids mountain biking. End up buying a mountain bike club there in Belito, Sugar Rats Club. He did flipping well at it. Him and his wife, Marisa, always, if they posted something on social media, it was always a nice picture with them and their family being happy and positive. And the thing with Mike, he got himself so fit and so healthy and so strong and so determined during this period that you look at him now and say, this guy's going to become a killer. He's going to go and dominate. I have no doubt that when Mike hits those Australian shores, he's going to see this, one, as an opportunity, but two, he's been through hell. And when you've been through hell and you've been through such difficult things, like I always say, it makes other things easier. And I think you got to give credit when it's due. And what's the point of having a podcast and having a platform if you're not going to promote and share your happy thoughts and feelings about other people that are close to you. So
100%.
I just want to say well done, Mike, and your whole family. I'm not going to mention his kids' names because you might not want that, but Mike and the whole family, I think you guys have been legends. Gone through everything, gone through it together, and now's the next step, and go make a success of it. So Bryan Air advisory for episode 137, be like Mike Mason, and we'll dedicate today's whole show to Mike. And thanks, Mike, for everything you've done for us, and just go and dominate this next little period of your life. And it's no small thing what you've done, man.
Yeah.
It's no small thing.
And from our side, Mike and the family, thank you for all your support throughout the years. Thanks for backing us up through this time as well. You know, it's sad to see your mates leaving the shores of South Africa to go and try and pursue a better life overseas. But I'm so happy for them and so proud of them as well, because South Africa's kind of let them down.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go and make things better overseas, and Australia's winning.
Mm-hmm.
They really are, in terms of gaining people like this. And, you know, just wishing you guys all the best. Make every success of the new venture and enjoy it, and just thrive and go and make South Africans proud. And again, thank you for everything that you guys have done here.
Yeah. And to end off with it, and to kind of, what does be like Mike mean? So stay strong, stay fit, stay healthy, stay positive, stay motivated. Even if you're not motivated, find the motivation. Go get it somewhere. Someone else has got it. Go and get their energy. You're not always going to be motivated, but you can have discipline. So
embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck, and be there, ready and waiting for when the opportunity arises.
Yeah.
And when that opportunity does come, as it's come for Mark now, you can snap it and you can go. Sometimes, Ryan, you know, you can have a situation where it's bad, but it's not too bad, so you sort of stay with it, and you, I can deal with it, I can make it work, and you go 4, 5, 6 years, but you're bloody unhappy in your work, whatever it is. Sometimes it's better to have nothing and just get yourself ready, sharpening the sword, so that when a proper opportunity comes, I'm going to nail it, I'm going to take it. So
that's what it's all about.
Huh?
That's what it's about, man.
I'm flipping proud of Mike, man.
Oh, no, 100%. And I mean, look, Mike, as well as all the other guys that have gone out there, particularly the crew that were burnt by SACS, the guys that have gone out there and made it. Well done to everyone.
Yeah, well done to everyone. No, true.
You know, I think you know, at this point in time, we're starting to see the results of the turnaround. You know, we for a long time forecasted that this whole thing was going to, you know, drag out for many, many years. But the recovery and the turnaround's come about a whole lot quicker. And we're seeing more and more success stories and people getting what they want and happier endings, I suppose, which is just fucking awesome.
It is. You know what? One of the things that I would love, Ryan, is to have this podcast become a powerful enough platform where you can actually go and make a difference for those things that count.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole SACS thing. I mean, no one stood up for the people then. No one stood up for Mike then.
No.
You know, and the guy, everyone went through a very, very difficult stage. And
he was also one of the biggest voices against all this.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the first one to really put out some serious posts there and say, listen, yokes are being a bunch of dickheads.
Yeah. But if you don't have the right platform supporting the right projects, the right things. I mean, look at it these days. The world's just lost their mind as to what they deem as news and things that are supported. It's all, they're all doing it for sales. They're not doing it for that's what they believe in. This was a genuine situation that happened, and you need platforms. And if we will not stop with this podcast until we get it to the point where it becomes a big enough platform where you can stand up and you can say, that's wrong. We're gonna bring this to everyone's attention.
Exactly.
And so I think that's a cool way to end today's show.
100%.
Thanks, Paul. It was a difficult day. We almost didn't do it today. It was just one of those ones, but we did, and that's what matters.
I'm glad we made it happen. I've had a jaw, and I look forward to next week. And you know, we were supposed to see some Formula One this weekend.
Oh shit,
that's not happening because the floods
it's rained out. I hope our mate Dale's around there.
Yeah, Dale, keep us posted, and I hope you guys and the family are doing all right there. And it's actually a video message and check up on it.
Yeah,
and we'll see you next week. No doubt.
Goodbye for now.
Yeah.